So, welcome to the session. We had gone up to page 20. Now we continue from page 21. Yeah. So, on page 21, actually, there is a heading. The heading says, People. How do you handle people who are a pain in the neck? Interesting. So, you have to remember कि ये जो Golden Lotus Sutra है, this book is Master's teachings on living a better life. So, one important aspect of living life is dealing with people and especially difficult people. People who agree with you, people who think the same as you, no problem in dealing with them, right? It's people who disagree with you, people who maybe you think they don't like you or you think you don't like them. Dealing with them, that is that is the important part of life. So in this section, this is what we will be talking about, or this is what Master will be talking about, and we will try to understand what Master is telling us. Okay, let's go to page 23. Nobody is perfect. You are not perfect. Your parents are not perfect. They are all good people. They are not perfect. They, like you, are also growing. We are all in the process of evolving. Let's read the next sutra also and we'll discuss it together. Bless them with your love so they will become better people. So the important thing here is to remember that we are all growing, we are all evolving. Now, when we say evolving, it means we have not attained any sort of perfection. And when we say we, it applies as much to ourselves as it applies to other people. There are some things we are good at, some things we are not so good at, and some things we are very weak in. So, this is a realistic way of considering yourself and considering others. You see, otherwise, we tend to be very good lawyers for ourselves. Lawyer for yourself. No, this is the right thing I did. You always justifying yourself. And we are harsh judges for others. Oh, this person made this mistake. We put whatever they do, small weakness, we put it under a microscope, make it look very big. We expect perfection from them. And maybe 99% that person is good, 1% some weakness is there. We will focus on that. That's what I meant by putting people under a microscope. You see, in reality, almost every person is mostly good. That means their good qualities, their good points are much more than their, I wouldn't say bad, but their weaknesses or areas where they have not attained goodness. Are you understanding? So, this is a realistic way of looking at them. Now, given this, we have two choices. One is that we keep criticizing them, we keep focusing on that, So, I would say that more than 90% of more than 99% of the people, all good. Now it is our choice. It is only that 10% of that 1% we want to focus on. It's up to us. You understand? So one choice is to criticize. Focus on that, keep criticizing. The other is, and Master is telling us, you bless them with love. You see, how we respond, how we react to them is essentially a transference of energy. As pranic healers, we all understand energy. So, what sort of energy do we send out? You understand? And this energy that we will send out will influence them. उसका उन पे असर पड़ेगा. So, we need to be careful. If we send out negative, critical, offensive energy, it is not helping them. In fact, it may even make them worse. So the better thing is to bless them with love. I'll give you a concrete example. When we made our house where we live right now, for 20s of years before that, all the people around our house, they used to, because our plot was it was vacant, so they used it as a garbage dump. So then we made our house, we created a boundary wall and so on, and then we started telling them that this is no longer a garbage dump. You please use the the proper area. But because they had that habit, they would keep doing it. So it even led to some amount of friction, and you know what in Hindi we call kahasuni, some amount of verbal friction and so on. And then that was the time I got into pranic healing, or I and my wife, we got into pranic healing. So our instructor, he suggested, instead of fighting with them, why don't you start blessing them? So in our town, this center, it was the first pranic healing center. So everybody used to gather here. We used to do twin hearts, and then we used to bless my neighbors. That may they be blessed with the proper way of throwing their garbage. And in just a couple of weeks, we started seeing a change. People who are very persistent, no, 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 we have been doing this, we will keep doing this. They also, by themselves, they stopped. And that is where I realized this. And another time I remember I was driving, and sometimes people are very aggressive when they drive. So somebody cut me. So it used to really irritate me. And then one of the acharyas, I was driving him. So he said, now you have two choices. You can get angry, or you just say you bless this person with better driving, with a better driving sense. So I said, okay. So that's what I started doing. Anytime somebody is, not driving well, I will just think of, I will say, may God bless you with better driving skills. So, number one, my irritation does not come. Number two, hopefully that person is becoming a better driver. Yeah. Anyway, let's move forward. When the person is angry with you project love to neutralize the hatred. Now, this is very simple logic. You see, think of love as positive, and think of love as anger as, or nastiness or offensiveness as negative. Positive emotion, negative emotion. Now, if I have some negative quantity, let us say -5, and if I also produce -5, then what will it become? -10. Overall, the situation has become more negative. But if -5, I put, say, +5 or +6, then what will happen? This -5 and +5, you put it together, it becomes 0. It becomes a neutral situation. No more anger, fighting, things like that. Or like I think many great saints have said, I think Gandhiji also, that an eye for an eye, the whole world will be blind. So that is not the way to do it. Okay, let's move on. When someone is nasty, you know that person is immature. You see, only a person who is not spiritually matured will resort to nastiness. I mean, not only spiritually, but even emotionally, that person is not mature, I would say, if the person is reacting in a nasty manner. Nasty, the word nasty means offensive, unpleasant, and so on. So, two ways of looking at it. Number one, it is a symptom. When somebody is acting in a nasty way, you have to think, okay, this person not so mature. Okay, deal with that person accordingly. You remember there was a sutra on the previous page where a few pages back, I think page 14, where Master said that, the soul may be very, very young. So you have to think, okay, the soul is very young. So let me not, react. Secondly, if you keep this in mind, it becomes a way of, how should I say, conditioning your own reactions. It becomes a way of acting where you say, I am not immature. How can I be nasty? Once you understand that being nasty is a sign of immaturity, then if you consider yourself mature, then you know what you are not supposed to do, which is to be nasty. Sometimes Unfortunately, there is this belief that, in Hindi we say, लातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते. That means, with some people, you have to be nasty to get them to do whatever you want them to do. But that is not, I mean, that is not what Master is suggesting. All right, let's move on. Unregulated fear tends to make people violent or nasty. Often, these people are internally weak. Fear tends to make people react excessively. In one or two sutras, or two pages back, Master talked about, yeah, page 19, he talked about real fears and imagined fears. I hope you remember that. We had done it, I think, the last time. You see, if you are weak internally meaning spiritually, emotionally, then you can easily become overwhelmed by fears. Yeah. And then you may, there is the fight or flight response. Are you familiar with it? It is a part of your survival instinct. So when you feel overwhelmed, your survival instinct will take over, right? And then because your rational mind is switched off or it is overwhelmed, it is not in control, it is your survival instinct which has suddenly come up. Now either you may take flight, which is okay. Otherwise, if you are, it may lead you to fight. And fighting means then you may lash out, you may act violently, है ना, मार पिटाई पे उतर सकते हैं. So that is what Master is talking about over here, that if there is unregulated fear, it may result in being violent. And therefore, it is very, very important to meditate on that sutra on page 19, the last sutra, where he said, fear is an absolute necessity, it keeps us alive. But you have to distinguish between fear based on reality and fear based on imagination. You see, these fears which will overwhelm you, we very easily we can say in imagined fears, can make a mountain out of a molehill. Everything becomes life threatening. It is not so. Just relax. Yeah. Okay. Shall we go forward? Any response? Any questions or anything? Let's move forward. Page 24, Sutra 1. As a being of divine love, your words must be kind and gentle and not injurious. When an infant dirties its diaper, you do not scream at the baby. Likewise, with a young, immature soul in a big body. Again, we are repeating what Masters told us on page 14. Now, two parts to this sutra. Number one is reminding us we have three aspects, the three divine aspects: divine love, divine light, and divine power. Correct? So he's saying that since you are a being of divine love, it must reflect in our words, in our actions, yeah, and even in our thoughts. But here, of course, Master is talking about our expression. Our expressions must be kind, gentle, and we should avoid being injurious. Somewhere else, Master has said that you hit somebody, you cause a injury, but that injury will heal in a few days. But you say something sharp, you say something, that hurts, that memory may remain for a lifetime. That hurt may remain for a lifetime. Yeah. So be careful. Then the second part of this is, again, the Master is saying that no one is perfect. And the degree of imperfection depends on the age of the soul, not on the age or the size of the body. So you may have an elderly looking person, but maybe a very young soul. Correct? Okay. Some people sting a lot. Do not respond to their provocation unless it can be done incisively. The moment you react, you are psychologically entangled. This is exactly what they want. They want your attention, they want your energy. Do not respond. Keep your distance. You see, sting here, when Master says sting, like a bee will sting, like a बिच्छू काटता है, वो जो डंक मारते हैं, sting. So what he means by what he's talking about here is some people are very sarcastic. They speak in a manner where it is intended to cause hurt. So that is what Master meant by some people sting a lot. Now, how do you respond to that? So Master gives us two options. Option number one, he says, do it incisively. An incision. So in a penetrating manner. And what I understand by that is in a manner that is decisive, that completely ends the conversation, that shuts down the interaction. Because what we don't want is to end up being entangled. So two ways. One is you make a response and it ends the matter completely. The other is that you just move away. You avoid forming a connection. What is that person is looking for is you say something, he has said something, now you say something, then he will say something. He wants that entanglement. He wants to get connected to you. He wants to suck out your energy. Avoid that. You see how your energy will get sucked out if you get into an argument, your solar, that person's solar connection will form. Your throat chakra, that person's throat chakra connection will form. Don't do that. And Master hasn't said that, but my thinking is if to some extent, you forget and immediately react, and then after a minute you remember, oh, I'm not supposed to get entangled. Just cut, and move away. Best if you don't respond verbally, even mentally. Don't keep thinking about what that person. I know it hurts. I know, that is the problem with the sting. It hurts. But वो उसको बार बार सोचेंगे, you are again getting connected. So if that is happening, again, you need to cut. And if you know shielding, do shielding. If you know that this person is likely to behave like that, form a shield when you discuss with that person. The proper way of making shields is discussed in the course, Psychic Self-Defense. Actually, there is a longer name, but I'm just using the short name, Psychic Self-Defense. So there you learn to make proper shields. Okay, let's read one more sutra. Do not argue with people. First, check the facts and recheck. Go to the root of the problem. You see, a lot of times, two people are in argument. If they stop the argument and actually go to the facts of what each of them is saying, they will find that more or less they are saying the same thing. माने बात तो दोनों एक ही कर रहे हैं, लेकिन वो कुछ शब्दों में फर्क है, तो वो इट इज एंडिंग अप इन एन आर्ग्यूमेंट. So what master is saying is the argument is pointless. Look at the facts. You see, because when you look at the facts, there is an opportunity to learn. You see, I am saying something about let's take something. What shall we say? I don't know. What can we think? Think about something. Let's say shielding, whether shielding should be taught in the basic course or not. Now, I may have an opinion, someone else may have opinion. But when we get down to the facts, I may learn something, you may learn something. But if we involve our egos, then problem. Then it is just an argument, and the argument will keep going on and on. Yeah. So when master says go to the root of the problem, that means go backwards. Take one step back. Take one step back and come to the origin or the, where what really matters, what is really essential. उस मामले की essence क्या है, वहां पे पहुंचिए. And it is quite possible that you may find that you are both in agreement. There is actually no disagreement. Shall we do one more sutra? The last one on this page. When you encounter an opponent, do not fight if possible. Convert your opponent into a friend and you will have nothing to fight about. So again, usually when we are having a disagreement, you will find that in that whole subject, 99% of the things we are agreeing on. The disagreement is only on 1%. Now, how do you make the other person your friend? You emphasize on the things that you are agreeing on. Are you understanding? Not focus on the 1% you are not agreeing on. Because that is the way that person is likely to be a friend. Yes. Okay, I think we can stop here for today.